Sometimes to get a feel for where a huge country is headed, you don't need a massive year-long study. All you really need is a snapshot. So today, we're going to take a look at just a handful of days in mid-November 2025 to see what they can tell us about India's trajectory. Let's dive in and connect some dots.
And that's a great question, right? How can that possibly work? Well, what's so cool is that when you start connecting a few events that seem totally unrelated, a financial report here, a tech launch there, a new policy over here, a surprisingly clear picture of a nation's priorities starts to emerge. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
All right, first up, let's head into the engine room, the economy. Any story about a country's progress, it's got to start with its financial health, right? And what's interesting in November 2025 is we're seeing positive signs from two different angles, the actual money coming in and the policies that are guiding it.
Okay, let's start with a big one, and I mean a really big number, 12.92 lakh crore rupees. Just let that sink in for a second. That's India's net direct tax collection in just over 7 months. It's a number so huge it's hard to wrap your head around, but it's a powerful signal of just how much economic activity is buzzing all over the country.
But here's the thing. It's not just a big, static number. It's actually up a solid 7% from the same time last year. And that's a huge deal. It's not just about, more cash for the government. It's a really good sign that the economy is healthy, it's expanding, and that tax compliance is getting more efficient. It shows real momentum.
Okay, so the money coming in looks good. But what about the policies behind it all? The rules of the game, so to speak. Well, turns out the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI, has been super busy. Their latest reforms are all about making the entire financial system stronger, more stable, and importantly, a lot more attractive to the rest of the world. So one of their big moves is something called the Special Rupee Vostro Account, or SRVA. Now that sounds complicated, but here's the simple version. It makes it way easier for folks outside India to invest in Indian companies, specifically in things like corporate bonds, and to do it using Indian rupees. And this is a really clever two-for-one move. First, it brings in more foreign money. But, and this is the really strategic part, it makes the rupee itself stronger on the global stage. Why did that matter? Well, it means less reliance on other currencies, which gives India a whole lot more economic freedom.
All right, so from the economy, let's switch gears and talk tech, because in this very same time frame, we're seeing India make some pretty huge bets on the future. And it's cool because they're looking in two totally different directions. One is way up, out into space, and the other is right here on Earth, focused on clean energy. And here we go, another headline number for you, 1,000 crore rupees. That's the size of a brand new venture capital fund, and its only job? To pour money into space tech startups. If that's not a clear signal that India is all in on building a private space industry, I don't know what is.
So this fund, it's a partnership between IN Space, which is the government space promotion body, and a venture capital group. And their whole goal is to just ignite the next generation of private Indian space companies. Yeah, we're talking about everything, satellites, rockets, analyzing all that space data, the whole shebang.
Okay, so from outer space, let's come right back down to Earth. And we're going to go from 1,000 crore rupees to 3 megawatt hours. Now I know that number might sound a lot smaller, but trust me, the impact here could be just as huge. This is the capacity of a brand new, totally groundbreaking battery system that was just unveiled. And yeah, this is not just any old battery. It's India's very first megawatt-hour scale vanadium flow battery. Now there are two really important things to remember here. One, long duration. That means it can store and provide power for hours at a time, not just minutes. And two, it's indigenously developed, built right there in India, which is massive for energy security. This kind of tech is the answer to that classic problem with renewables, right? What do you do when the sun goes down or the wind stops blowing?
Okay, our third big theme from this little snapshot of time is maybe the most essential one of all, water. And what's really fascinating is that we're seeing action on two fronts at once. Inside India, they're celebrating successes. And at the same time, there's a huge development happening with a neighbor that could change regional cooperation.
So on one side, you've got the 6th National Water Awards. This is where India basically gives a shout out to its own states and cities that are doing an amazing job with water management. And then, at the same time, you have Bangladesh making this historic move to join the UN Water Convention. That's a huge deal. It's a global agreement on how to manage water that crosses borders, and this could totally reshape water diplomacy in the whole region.
And to make this a little more real, let's look at who actually won.
Maharashtra got the award for Best State, and Navi Mumbai for the Best City. And you know, these awards aren't just some trophy on a shelf. They're a really big deal because they set an example for everyone else. It creates a kind of friendly competition that pushes everyone to get more innovative with water, from the state level all the way down to your local neighborhood.
Okay, so let's recap. We've seen a healthy economy, big bets on future tech, and a serious focus on water security. But the big question is, so what? How does any of this actually affect the average person? Well, in this last part, we're going to connect all those big picture ideas right down to the grassroots level. And a perfect example of this is the launch of 2 new mobile apps called SRK DigiPay and SRK DigiLoan. Now, these are designed specifically for urban cooperative banks. And while that might not sound like a huge headline, it is a massive step forward. It brings modern digital banking, easy payments, access to loans right from your phone, to millions of customers in a banking sector that's really at the heart of so many communities.
And that brings us to our final piece of the puzzle, the last piece of this snapshot. And honestly, it might be the most important one. You see, November 14th is Children's Day in India. And the theme for 2025, well, it just brings everything together perfectly. All this stuff we've been talking about, a strong economy, amazing new tech, secure resources, what's it all for? It's for this: to build a future where every single child is safe, educated, and empowered. So there you have it. From tax collections to space funds, from flow batteries to digital banking apps, this one little week in time gives us a pretty clear picture, doesn't it? It shows a nation that's laser-focused on building its economy, investing in the future, and securing its most vital resources, all with a clear eye on the next generation. It's a really compelling story, and it leaves you with just one big question: what will the next snapshot reveal?